Many of you guys know I'm such a fan of March of Dimes because they advocate for the health of all moms and babies. And given our history of building our family, I just so believe in the work that they do.
I think that's why we're all here, is to be part of that awareness and the community that March of Dimes does offer for folks, so that they know that they don't have to navigate through this time alone. And there are questions that you can ask your healthcare provider that may not be, instinctually what is on their mind at that time.
Tell them that they're doing a good job. I feel like as moms, we are so hard on ourselves to be perfectionists, and we should be allowed to make mistakes and have bad days. And we need a community of people around us telling us, you know what, it's okay, you're human.
It's so important to have these conversations and to open up and to really listen to your gut and your intuition and do what feels right for you in those first 6 months, and take care of yourself first, because your baby can feel it.
You're not taking care of them, you can't take care of anyone around you, like your children or loved ones. So be sure to take good care of yourself and do whatever it is, most importantly, so that you feel good, so that we can take care of these little nuggets around us.
We have to listen to moms and give them the support that they need to make sure that if they're expressing their concerns or their struggles, or if they have issues, that we're listening and ready to respond. That's why at the March Downs, we have so many resources online for women to investigate and find out what they need and get answers to their questions. But it's really, really important that we advocate for every mom, to advocate to make sure that they're healthy, to make sure that babies are healthy, to make sure that we're never leaving moms with the feeling that they don't have the support that they need. That is critically important.
That video certainly got me excited for the day. It's always an incredible experience to see so many strong, smart women get together and speak on topics that matter. And that's just the start of the day. There's much more to come. Join us for the entire broadcast to hear much more from these future and current moms. We have some great panels for you covering everything from healthy food to mental health. Now, I'd like to introduce you to our moderators for today. Julia Edelstein is the editor-in-chief of Parents Magazine. She is a writer and editor with more than a decade of experience in women's magazines, with a specialty in health and parenting content. Grace Bastidas is the founding editor-in-chief of Parents Latina and Ser Padres. She is an experienced writer and editor and an expert at connecting with multicultural women and families.
Hello, welcome to the It Starts With Mom live event presented by March of Dimes. I'm Grace Bastidas, editor-in-chief of Parents Latina and podcast host of That New Mom Life. Happy to be here.
I'm Julia Edelstein, editor-in-chief of Parents Magazine. We are thrilled to kick off an amazing virtual event, bringing together moms in every stage of their motherhood journeys.
This afternoon, you'll hear from health experts and moms you may know about their perspectives on prioritizing mental health and wellness, who they turn to around the brunch table for support, and how they've built resiliency that will carry forward as we look ahead.
We also have 2 fun food segments that will inspire you to cook with your kids. We have culinary experts setting up their spaces to share some healthy and delicious brunch and snack recipes that are customizable to your own kids' palates. So get your notebooks ready.
To set the table for today's festivities, we're going to join Joy Howard, cookbook author, food stylist, and recipe developer, to talk us through kid-approved brunch ideas you can recreate at home.
Joy will also show us how to turn brunch into a family-friendly activity that includes your kids in the meal prep, cooking, and the 2 best parts, taste testing and cleanup. And now, over to Joy.
Hi, my name is Joy Howard, and I'm here today with my daughter Inez.
Hi.
And we're going to show you 3 of our most favorite family recipes that we like to make together for brunch. We like to do brunch on the weekends. It's a chance for us to get together, talk about what happened to the week that we might have missed because we were busy. It gives the girls an opportunity to get into the kitchen and have a little fun as a family. So the recipes we're going to make today are really great because they're healthy, they're easy, and you can adapt them to suit whatever the needs are of your particular family. The recipes that we're going to make are a frittata, a fruit parfait, and some fancy toast.
So the first recipe we're going to make is a frittata with spinach, Parmesan cheese, and ham.
And most people are used to making this in a larger pan or something like a cast iron skillet. But to make it personalized, we like to use these small ramekins. And that way you can set out all of the ingredients and everyone can kind of pick and choose what it is that they like to put in. So to make it, we start out by just coating the ramekin with a little bit of cooking spray. And then, as Inez said, we're going to add in the spinach and the Parmesan cheese. Just a little bit. And some ham. And then the mixture that I have here is just 2 eggs, a little bit of salt and pepper, and a couple tablespoons of half and half. You could also use milk if that's what you prefer, or even some heavy cream if you prefer something a little richer. But for each ramekin, you'll need 2 eggs and those 2 tablespoons of milk or cream. And this is great because, you could also, if your family is vegetarian, you could do this with vegetables, or you could do this with just cheese and herbs. That's something that I really like. And this is going to go into the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And I like to use like a baking sheet just to put all of the individual ramekins on, just to make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the oven. And this is what it looks like when it's all done.
I like to put bacon and cheddar and broccoli in mine, but really anything is good in the frittata.
Yeah, they're delicious. The next recipe that we're going to make is a parfait. And this one is actually based on something that Inez and her sister really love to make. We like to put them in these glasses it's just a little jelly glass, because it helps sort of guide the amount of ingredient that you need to use in order to make one serving. So just like the frittata, you can kind of customize with whatever you like. But today we're going to use, in honor of Inez, some plain yogurt. And rather than granola, we have puffed rice cereal and some banana. So in order to make it, it's really simple. Just add the layers in, spoon in a little bit of yogurt.
I like a lot of yogurt in mine.
Or a lot of yogurt. And then some Rice Krispies. It's okay if you make a little mess along the way, it'll still be delicious. And some banana. And then due to the size of this glass, you'll be able to make about 2 layers of everything, which is perfect for a single serving. So I'm just gonna layer everything one more time.
And you can put jam in it too, and like peanut butter is also good in these too.
Yeah, a little bit of honey on top. And here you have it, a parfait with some plain yogurt, crisp rice cereal, and banana. And the last recipe that we're going to make is a fancy toast. This is actually based on one of my own personal favorite combinations, and it's made with ricotta cheese, raspberries, chopped almonds, and just a little bit of honey for sweetness.
You can really add whatever you want on these, and you can even make them savory or even sweeter if you want to.
And the nice thing about this is that you can take it outside of the kitchen, and right at the table, you can have a nice big stack of toast and put out lots of different toppings and make it into a real event around the table. So the first thing that we're going to do is add a little bit of the ricotta cheese. You can add as little or as much as you like. I like to add a lot personally. And this actually, the ricotta, if you have some left over from like a savory recipe like lasagna, this is a great way to use that up. So after we add the ricotta, we're going to put on some raspberries. Again, as much or as little as you like. And if you're not big into raspberries, you could also do something like a blueberry, you could do bananas, you could even do another fruit altogether like a peach or a plum.
Or strawberries.
Yeah, strawberries would be great too. Then we'll top that with a little bit of almonds for crunch and some honey, just a little drizzle, not too much.
It's fun because you can make smiley faces in them.
Yeah, you could do any kind of funny little decoration, turn it into kind of a creative activity beyond cooking. So that is the raspberry, ricotta, almond, and honey toast. So thanks so much for joining us in making these recipes that we love to make. We hope that you feel inspired to make them with your own family.
Like your own little art project.
And create something that's all your own and have the opportunity just to get together in the kitchen and have some fun. Bye.
Hi everyone, this is Jessica Alba.
Hi, I'm Kathy.
My mom. And we are going to talk to you guys about something that is very important, near and dear to our hearts. It is why I started the Honest Company. And I am proud that we are going to partner with March of Dimes on an incredible initiative. Have you ever heard the term environmental justice?
No, what's that all about?
Have you ever heard the term environmental justice? Basically, it means addressing the fact that environmental issues like climate change disproportionately affect marginalized communities. Pregnant women exposed to high temperatures or air pollution are more likely to give birth prematurely or to underweight or stillborn babies. And Black mothers experience these poor birth outcomes at much higher rates compared to the population at large.
That's horrible. How can we help?
Well, we're fortunate to have a partner like March of Dimes that shares our values and is working to address issues like environmental justice that affect the abilities of all families to have a healthy start. In fact, we're donating $250,000 to take on this issue and, most importantly, ensure that the communities affected are included. Because the health of people and the planet have always been in our core values. Our commitment to a happy, healthy world starts with Mother Earth and motherhood. I hope that all of you spread the word and be part of this movement for a sustainable future with environmental justice for all. Join us. Hearts. Peace.
Hi again, everyone. I'm Julia Edelstein, editor-in-chief of Parents Magazine. This pandemic has been emotionally hard for just about everyone, but it has been especially challenging for moms. We have weathered caring for our kids, navigating remote school, and even expanding our families, all in relative isolation and disconnected from our support networks. It's easy to forget to check in with yourself and to prioritize your mental health, which is why today we're here to help you remember that how you feel matters and that putting yourself first is a good thing. I'm joined by three amazing women this afternoon to discuss how to prioritize your mental health through your pregnancy journey and support the emotional well-being of your family. My guests today are internationally known model Hillary Rhoda, podcast host and social media influencer in the motherhood space, Jade Roper Tolbert, and Deputy Chief Medical and Health Officer for March of Dimes, Dr. Jaquiba Henderson. Hillary, Jade, Dr. Henderson, welcome. Could you tell our viewers a little about yourselves?
Hi, I'm Hillary Rhoda, and I have an 8-month-old son, Nash, and I live in Los Angeles with my husband and my son, and I'm a model.
Amazing.
Hi, I'm Jade Roper Tolbert. I live in Orange County, California with my husband and my 3 children. We've been married for 5 years. I have a daughter who's 3, a son who's 20 months, and a son who's 5 months. So we've been very busy. And I host a mommy's podcast called Mommy's Tell All.
Hello, I'm Jaquiba Henderson, and I'm an obstetrician gynecologist and the current Deputy Medical and Health Officer at March of Dimes and Senior Vice President of Maternal Child Health Impact, where I provide strategic direction and clinical expertise across the organization to help end the maternal and infant health crisis. I'm a board certified obstetrician gynecologist, but I am also a mom of 3 daughters, and I currently reside in the Atlanta area in Georgia.
Amazing. Well, I think we can kick off our conversation, and I'd love to kick off our panel with a question for you, Dr. Henderson. As I mentioned, motherhood can be really tough at times, especially in this last year. What have you found are the biggest challenges moms face when it comes to mental health at each stage of the pregnancy journey? So from, trying to being pregnant to that postpartum experience.
Well, of course, pregnancy in and of itself is a stressful period, but the stress doesn't begin then. A lot of women undergo stress when they're thinking about and planning to become pregnant. And sometimes we overlook that period, a pre-pregnancy, preconception period, when women are trying to optimize their health, trying to make decisions on finding a provider, trying to make sure that they're doing everything they can to have a healthy pregnancy. And often there are times when women are stressed, when they're not able to get pregnant as easily as they think they should be. And there's a lot of stress around women who experience infertility. Outside of that preconception period, pregnancy in itself, you have a quagmire of hormones, your body is changing, whether it be your physical appearance, the expectations that come with motherhood that's coming up, all of that can bring on stress. Not to mention some of the stresses that come along if complications happen during the pregnancy. Mothers undergo stresses also dealing with the pregnancy in the setting of their lives, still having to work, deal with careers, dealing with the stresses of the home, and particularly during this pandemic, that in and of itself is a stressor. And then we can't forget that special period once the baby arrives. Everyone is so excited about the baby, but sometimes mom is lost in that period, and all the attention goes to the baby, but mom is often left with a lot of responsibility, worries. Sometimes they have, feelings of insecurity around whether they're going to be a good mom. And then there are also hormonal changes that happen once you've given birth that can contribute to problems with feeling sad or feeling overwhelmed and feeling stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is such an emotional journey. And once the baby arrives, it is very easy, I think, to feel a little bit invisible. Jade, you recently had your third child. How did you prioritize your mental health while planning for your third child and managing a busy household?
Well, my son Reed, he's 5 months. He was a total surprise. So for us, we weren't even planning to have another. My sons are 15 months apart, and I got pregnant in February, right before everything went into hard lockdown, right? So here we were, like, surprise pregnancy, lockdown, all this stuff. And I had experienced postpartum depression with my son, Brooks. So for me, it was like, this was a chance where I was like, I have to get a hold of every resource I can to have a better pregnancy, to have a better postpartum, all on top of like a pandemic. So it was very crazy to navigate. And so I just made sure I was getting therapy. For me, that was virtual sessions of hypnotherapy to help with my postpartum depression that I had and my PTSD. I had a precipitous birth with my son. He was born in my closet.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, my second son. So it was me dealing with that. It was having to communicate very well with my husband because I didn't have my circle of support. We were mothers during this pandemic have been isolated now more than ever in such a critical period of our life where we need what they say, like our village. And so I had to rely a lot more on my husband. I talked to my midwife a lot about my nutrition, just make sure I was nutritionally supporting my body and my hormones. So that's kind of, I guess, how I've been surviving through this time.
It has been, a historic time for sure and unprecedented. And I think for women who went through pregnancy in the last year, just something that you'll tell your kids about because it really no women before you and none after really had that experience. Hillary, what self-care tips helped you through planning for your first child?
So for me, I actually started journaling, and that really helped me. I actually had started, I had a miscarriage right when we first started trying. And then about a year after that is when I got pregnant. So I journaled this whole, time of my life. And it really helped me to just get my feelings out, and then I journaled throughout my entire pregnancy also. And that helped, like you said, we don't have our village. We couldn't see our friends. And so that just really helped me, be able to get it down on paper and kind of express my feelings. And it really helps. And I've never done it before. And I'm so glad I did. And also now I can look back on this time of my life and, see exactly how I was feeling and what I was going through. And yeah, that just really helped. And also exercise.
Exercise.
I working out is really important to me, and that I worked out every day of my pregnancy, and that just really helps me with my mental well-being also.
That's amazing. I know, healthy habits were hard for people to keep up. Well, they're hard forever. They're always hard. But I think in the pandemic, a lot of people thought, oh, I'm going to finally have time to exercise. And it was very hard. I'm impressed that you were able to start a new habit of journaling. Was there a trick there that you were able to keep that up?
I read this book. It's called The Artist's Way. And it's just about, it was about how to harbor and manifest more creativity in your life and your work. And so I started reading it for that reason. And then it just kind of stuck, and I did it every morning, right when I wake up. And you just kind of recap the day before, and, anything that's on your mind, you just jot down. It doesn't have to be, pages and pages long. It could just be something quick, but I just stuck with it every single day.
That's definitely inspiring. And I like doing it first thing in the morning. It's smart. Another question for you. And then Jade, I have the same question for you as well. Both of you were pregnant in 2020. What were those particular challenges you found that were specific to 2020 as your pregnancies went along? And how did you find that the pandemic specifically affected your pregnancy experience? Even coming along to, especially as you came closer to that delivery day?
For me, it was definitely very isolating. We were in New York. I was too scared to leave the house. My husband did all the grocery shopping and all the errands. So I was really just in the apartment. And I guess I had been going to so many doctor appointments leading up to us getting pregnant at the fertility clinic. And I went to all those appointments by myself. So it didn't really feel that weird to have to go to my doctor appointments when I was pregnant by myself. So I was okay with that. But, the pandemic really did allow me to slow down and, take time for myself. And I don't think I would have done that in a pre-COVID world. I was able to take an afternoon nap and almost every day, and those kinds of things I just probably wouldn't have been able to do. So in that way, it was kind of nice, and I really had time to reflect and kind of get myself ready for the baby. So yeah,
it's definitely a silver lining.
Definitely.
And Jade, what about you?
I wish I was able to take naps. That's amazing.
I was just saying, this is only with pre your first kid. You can't do that. Yeah.
I remember those days. They were amazing. I think it was just the way that with the pandemic, my husband and I were together 24/7 all of a sudden, that I really, like I said, I really had to rely on communicating with him and him communicating with me. And we just telling each other, I need to step out. I need to take a walk. I need to just get fresh air. Because we're raising two children. I always get morning sickness. So I was sick, which is, I guess that's one of the good things about the pandemic is I was able to slow down and be on the couch more and just be sick. But I really do think that for me, I don't know if it was just divine intervention, but I was able to find a holistic midwife who was just really there for me in so many different ways that, like I said, she helped support me up with my self-care and my nutrition, what things I didn't even think about, herbal supplements, meditation, things that I just started incorporating into my daily life, noticing when I was getting stressed or worked up and taking a breath and getting back into my body and connecting with my baby. She would tell me, whenever you get stressed, just go upstairs, lay in your bed for 5 minutes, close your eyes, put your hand on your stomach and just breathe and connect to your baby. And that made a world of difference for me, especially during times when you wish, hard times when you wish you could hug your mom and you can't, and stuff like that. So that was very beneficial for me. And like I said, it was a journey, not only through a pandemic in my pregnancy, but a journey where I was trying in any way I could prevent postpartum depression again. And that was one of my goals, I think.
And how did that transitions perfectly to my next question, which is really how was your postpartum, and what did that postpartum journey look like for you?
Thankfully, I know it's not always this way, because like postpartum depression can repeat, and it doesn't matter sometimes what you do. It's just what happens. Thankfully, this time was a little bit easier for me dealing with those sort of things. I'm very blessed that by the time my son was born, my mother-in-law lives down the street, just like 20 minutes away. She was still able to come over and help, because 3 little kids under 3 is a lot. So that was very helpful. But like I said, I really focused on my nutrition. I did Ayurvedic foods after I had my child, and just really slowed down. I didn't get out of bed except to shower or to go to the bathroom for the first 5 days. That was something my midwife recommended, which was always like, I'm not going to do that. Like I have kids to take care of, but I really was like, I'm going to put my self-care first now more than ever. I'm worth it. And when they say like the mother's cup is full, your children's cup is full. So I was really trying to go with that. But really, I swear, like I said, like my midwife for me was just, I think what I needed during this time. It was just like a beautiful thing for me to have her care for my baby, and then for me afterwards.
I love that 5 days. I mean, we all wish we could have even longer rest, but that 5 days of staying in bed, I wish I had done that for sure. Hillary, what was, self-care and wellness like for you postpartum?
Yeah, I wish I did that too. I definitely, I think because it was my first, I was just feeling overwhelmed. I wanted to get out of the hospital so badly. And then when we got home, I was like, wait a second, can we go back for another night? Or, cause they're taking care of you. And, so my baby he was in the NICU, when right after he was born. They took him there, and he was there until we left the hospital. So I didn't really have any time for, the nurses to teach me how to feed him or change a diaper, like all these things. So I was definitely feeling a little overwhelmed when we got home. But, my husband was, so hands-on and just got right in there and, was helping out so much. And, so we got the hang of things. And then, for my well-being and everything after that, I started picking up my workout routine again. And I, just very slowly got back into it, because that's what just helps me so much. So, when they're newborns, they're sleeping for these big chunks of time. So I was able to get my workout in a nap, or if he was awake, we'd put him in the bouncy chair and he would watch me, and, he had the time of his life. So just, incorporating the baby into your routine is really important. And that's just what we were figuring out in those first few months.
Dr. Henderson, why is it important to protect your mental health throughout the pregnancy journey? And how might, the experience of what protecting your mental health means vary for every mom and even between different pregnancies?
Well, it's important to remember that mental health is just as important as your physical health. Oftentimes, there's stigma around issues with mental health, but we have to remember we have a brain, and that's an organ, just like your heart is an organ, just as your muscles are organs. You have to take care of your brain and your mental health just as you would and take care of your physical health. The other thing that's important to remember is that mothers need to be kind to themselves. You can't take care of another little human or your family if for any reason you're not full and you're not whole yourself. And so it's important that your mental health takes first place, that you take care of yourself, so that then you're better able to take care of your new child. One of the things I think is important for women to remember is that it's not uncommon after you have a baby to have times when you have, sadness. It's often referred to as baby blues. Often within the first few days after delivering, moms may feel sad or anxious or overwhelmed, may even feel angry at their partner or at the baby. And that's not uncommon. But it's also important to pay attention to the signs when that common baby blues becomes something else. And we also need to remember that there are ways that the sadness or depression can affect you that goes beyond baby blues. For example, if it goes past a week or two, usually baby blues don't last longer than the week or two after pregnancy. However, postpartum depression can last up to a year after pregnancy. So it's not uncommon for women to experience sadness and then really lose complete interest in all the aspects of their life that they used to have interest in. And when the sadness becomes overwhelming and really prohibits you from doing daily activities where you're not eating like you usually do, you're not sleeping, as I said, you're not interested in those other things, you may have thoughts that you don't want to live anymore, then that is extended past baby blues. And it's recommended that you seek medical attention. There are lots of resources for moms who start to feel sad. And usually when you get past that 1 to 2 week point, if the symptoms persist, then it's a good idea to contact your medical provider. Aside from those things, it's important to have help. A lot of women feel overwhelmed with the new duties of being a mom. You're tired, you're sleep deprived, you're not eating like you usually do. And if you're nursing or breastfeeding, there's often some anxiety and especially performance anxiety if breastfeeding is challenging or not working as well. It's important to get help. So when you have challenges, you need meals, have someone to help prepare meals. Have someone to help with the care of the baby so that you can get some rest and be refreshed and take care of your baby. And then start to really recognize and notice those signs when you get past that period of just the usual little bit of sadness or feeling down or anxious about being a new mom, but really get to the point where you feel despair or it extends over a long period of time where you can't function.
And those symptoms can arise anytime in the first year. So, many moms might feel good in the beginning and then suddenly don't, right? Is that correct?
That's absolutely possible. And I can actually speak from personal experience with my own pregnancies. I had no problems with my first 2 children, but then that third one came along, and for some reason, there are lots of different factors that can contribute. People may wonder what causes postpartum depression. There are multiple factors. If you have a history of depression, that would increase your risk of postpartum depression. Emotional factors, if you don't have the support that you had before, if you're in a different place in your life. Sometimes people experience birth around the time that they experience grief or loss in other parts of their lives. There are lots of factors that can contribute in addition to the hormonal changes that happen during pregnancy. That can increase the risk. And that can happen, even up to a year after pregnancy. And we think of, causes of severe morbidity or mortality or death in women postpartum. And we don't immediately think about depression. But in some parts of our country, suicide is a significant cause of maternal death. So it's important to take it seriously, take the symptoms seriously, get all the support that you need and to get help when you feel like you've gotten past the initial symptoms of baby blues.
Yeah, that is so important, is, getting help and realizing that, different factors can change how you feel from month to month or pregnancy to pregnancy. A question for Jade and then Hillary, I would love for you to answer as well. What do you think friends and families can do to support mothers through their entire pregnancy journey? I'd love to hear, if there was anything particularly meaningful that your friends and family did.
If I know it's so different now with the pandemic, but I would say if you're coming over, don't just expect to be taken care of yourself, as a guest, do something, bring a meal, do the dishes, do the load of laundry, offer to help with the other children. Ask how the mother is doing, genuinely ask. I feel sitting down and just letting them like rest for a second, you know, like if they look tired, like let them go take the kids around the park or whatever and let them like get a nap in. Just doing something actively that takes something off their plate, even like their mental, like the mental load that a mother has. Like we were saying, all the things that, you know, moms have to do in a day on top of like the breastfeeding transition, the healing, the physical healing, the mental healing. I feel like the best thing, like I think of my mother-in-law when my son Reed was born, is she came over and she watched my two youngest, and that just really let me have that really special bonding time with my son that I really wanted to get, him being my third. And I was able, like I was in bed for 5 days, so she actually had to really come over, but it was just something that I really felt I didn't get with my son Brooks after my precipitous birth, and what was like birth trauma to me. I felt such a disconnect from him. I didn't feel attached to him right away. And so for me, that was so important. So for her to just like show up in that way, and I didn't even really have to ask, it was like, she was just there. And I think that was like a huge factor in helping support me this time around.
Yeah, it's so great that you learned that you figured out what you needed and got it. I think that's really healing.
Thank you.
And Hillary, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I was throughout the whole pandemic. I was pregnant, so I didn't really get to see anybody. But just having my friends and family check in, just check in with me and say, "How are you doing?" Like you were saying, Jade, and really ask how I was doing, and it just felt really good to connect and talk about the whole experience. Maybe just you need to vent and be like, oh my God, like, I don't know what I'm doing. What are you doing? Like, and go just giving tips, little tips and tricks that we learn along the way. One of my friends had a baby around the same time as me. So we would just, send each other texts and, just give our advice that we are learning along the way. So, because we're all just kind of learning it at the same time.
I think it's that friendship and being honest and kind of raw about motherhood that really makes us all feel less alone. And I really appreciate both of you sharing your stories, because I know it's not always easy to talk about postpartum. Dr. Henderson, what resources are available for struggling moms and moms to be, where can moms experiencing anxiety or depression find help?
So as I mentioned before, one of the first places, of course, is to make sure you have support around you, whether that be familial support, your partner. There are doula services to help with that initial period postpartum in terms of just being able to take care of yourself. But if you're experiencing symptoms beyond 1 to 2 weeks where you're have feelings of despair or persistent sadness that is unremitting, then I would highly recommend contacting your medical provider, your healthcare provider. And then ultimately, if there are any thoughts of ending your life, that you would dial 911 immediately. There are also hotlines and warm lines that you can call for assistance if you're feeling like giving up. And I would recommend that those be the first places that you go for your provider or emergency services if you need help immediately. Beyond that, there are lots of resources for information about postpartum blues, postpartum depression and anxiety, and also about mental health support groups online. March of Dimes has various resources, information about postpartum depression and anxiety, and just advice on how to handle that period after you first have a baby and being a new mom. And those online resources are very useful, but ultimately the best resources for moms that are struggling is to have human resources. So people in the home to help you. And ultimately, if you need to seek professional help, to not be ashamed, to be kind to yourself, and to seek the help that you need.
Absolutely no shame in asking for help. Well, I have one final question for every panelist. What's one thing we can all do to help make pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum easier for every mom? And let's start with you, Hillary.
So I think that we should just keep sharing our experiences. I bookmark lots of Instagram posts related to pregnancy and motherhood, and that remind me that I'm not alone in what I'm going through. And it really helps, if you're feeling down or something, I go and I look at them and I'm like, okay, there are other people that are going through the same thing that I am. And it is very comforting to know that. And I think that, if we just keep sharing our experiences, that women will not feel so isolated and alone.
I agree. I think we should continue to keep talking about everything, and not like making motherhood seem like it's like this perfect, aesthetic, easy thing that all moms just like naturally can just, you have a baby and your motherhood instincts all just kick in. Like there's a huge learning curve. So I feel like it's, I think like giving ourselves grace, and then others giving each other grace, like being there for each other in community, not like letting go of judgments that we have on ourselves, that we have on other mothers, letting them be the best mothers that they can be, and just showing up for people.
Yeah, like I think it's so common for in general just to think, oh, I shouldn't complain because somebody else out there has it worse than I do. Like we don't say that, oh, somebody else has it better out there, so I shouldn't be happy. Like it's the same kind of thing. And I think we feel guilt for maybe having feelings of being overwhelmed and everything, and we shouldn't.
So Jade brought up a good point, and that's being non-judgmental. A lot of moms deal with criticism and little judgy comments from people, but ultimately we need to work to remove the stigma. Remove the stigma of seeking help for mental health, and to look at mental health just like you would look at your physical health. To be kind to each other and share your story. Be transparent and to let moms know this is not something they should be ashamed of. To remove the stigma and to normalize seeking help.
Absolutely great words of advice. Well, I want to thank all three of you for speaking so openly and providing such great insight and advice. And I want to say to anyone watching, if you suspect you have postpartum depression, talk to your doctor immediately. Many women experience postpartum depression, and you are not alone. And remember, you have a community of moms and moms-to-be that are here to support you through your hard times and celebrate the good times. Make room in your life for self-care, appreciate and grow your support network, and know you can always ask for help. Thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Macy's and March of Dimes have been partnering for more than 20 years, and during that time have raised more than $30 million to support healthy moms and strong babies. Macy's and March of Dimes share a belief that all mums and babies, regardless of age, race, geography, income, or socioeconomic background, deserve the best start and the healthiest beginnings. Mums and babies need us now more than ever. The US remains one of the most dangerous developed nations in the world for childbirth. And that's especially true for mums and babies of colour. And this health crisis has only been intensified through the COVID-19 pandemic. Macy's is committed to supporting March of Dimes in their mission to address the maternal health crisis in the US. That's why this May, Macy's is running a month-long fundraising campaign to support March of Dimes in their mission to address the maternal health crisis. You can join us when you shop at Macy's, either in-store by rounding up your purchase to the nearest dollar or online at macys.com, and all donations go to support March of Dimes and healthy moms and strong babies.
Hi, I'm Jenna Helwig, food director at Real Simple Magazine.
Hi, Jenna. I'm Shawn Johnson.
Shawn, it is so nice to meet you. I'm so excited to make some healthy snacks together today. So we're going to make a couple of snacks today. And what I love about these is that they really are good for, a wide range of ages. And this first one, in fact, is even good for babies. So the first one is a beet avocado dip, and it's from my cookbook, Baby-Led Feeding, and it is so easy. So I'll just walk us through, but it looks like you might have gotten a head start. That looks yummy.
I did.
Love it. It looks beautiful. Okay, so you want to start with about, 2 to 3 ounces of beets. I don't know if we can see these. These are cooked beets. I like the ones, I don't know if you bought the ones that are pre-cooked and pre-packaged.
I did.
Right?
It makes
So
it
much
very
easier.
easy.
Oh my gosh. I mean, sure, you can cook your own beets if you want, but you do not have to. And then an avocado that I've sliced. And this is a really big one, so I might not use all of it.
My
And
daughter
then
loves avocado.
Does she? I'm so glad. You know,
Yes.
they're so healthy, right? Like tons of healthy fats and stuff, but they're also so good. And so I just put in juice of half a lime. Now, if you're not making this for a baby, like if you're making it for a toddler or a grown up, it's great to add some salt because that does help bring out the flavors. But for babies, we should skip the salt. All right, so I'm going to give this a little blend. What I love about this is that, you know, there are lots of great ways to serve it. I like to give kids like little steamed broccoli trees that you can just dip right into it. And this is great for babies too. Or you can just spread it on some toast sticks and it makes for a great snack. So how do you think that your daughter would like it?
So she loves guacamole. She loves dips, avocados. I love how this has a different color to it and a little bit different taste. I think she'd really enjoy like kind of digging into this with different veggies.
Do you want to give it a little taste? I made some earlier, so I'm just going to spread some on my toast.
I did celery sticks. I had those.
Oh, nice. I confess I did not salt mine, so.
That's amazing. It's sweeter than I imagined.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's got a nice sweetness. Right. Shawn, do you spend any time in the kitchen with your daughter? Does Drew ever come in and watch while you're cooking?
Yes. So we're just getting to that age where she's starting. She's 18 months old. So up until that point or this point, she's kind of been just the destroyer of the kitchen. But she's getting more interested in actually being hands-on and kind of putting things together and like doing it her way for sure.
Getting kids involved in the kitchen has so many benefits. I mean, first of all, just the more exposure to healthy foods, the better. And exposure doesn't always actually mean eating. You know, also, I think being in the kitchen for little kids, while they can learn motor skills and like their math things they can learn, I mean, all that good stuff. But to me, the biggest benefit of having kids in the kitchen is they actually learn how to cook, which is a life skill and great. And we all need to know how to cook. So that's years down the road, but you got to start somewhere. What are some of your favorite snack recipes that you make for Drew now?
Oh my goodness. So I feel like it's right up this alley. It's kind of like dips and things to kind of like interact with that take longer to eat. I think she's obsessed with berries of any kind. So if I can implement those into some sort of snack, she's all for it.
Oh, that's good. Well, I think she'll like this next one that we're going to put together too. So.
Yes.
So now we are going to make peanut butter strawberry roll-ups. Snacks really cannot get easier than this. Great for busy mom. And it's also great, you know, even for little kids like Drew's age to come into the kitchen and help with this because there's some good spreading and spooning involved. So let's get down to it. You just
and I have to say,
oh yeah,
it's great for me too. I've been craving peanut butter ever since I got pregnant, in which that's really weird for me because I hated peanut butter before I was pregnant. I don't know how it's possible. I hated it my whole life. I'm obsessed with it now. So I could just eat this with a spoon.
So we just want to start with like regular sliced whole wheat bread. Beautiful. And a rolling pin. So we're just going to so this is a fun kid thing to do, right?
Yes.
You're just going to want to try to make it as flat as possible.
I've never done this before with bread.
You know, it also could work like you could do ham and cheese roll-ups with it. It's almost like we're making like sushi, sort of, right?
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah. All right. So we'll just spread some creamy peanut butter on, whatever brand you like. And I would say pretty thin layer just to help with the rolling. And then I've got just some really finely chopped strawberries and just going to kind of sprinkle them on. And you could use, you know, crushed raspberries with this, really any soft, finely chopped fruit. And then we're just going to give it a roll. You could do it either the short way or the long way. I'm going to do it the short way for fun.
Okay.
And then just roll it as tightly as you can. You got to get your hands
My daughter is napping right now, but I really think she will love this.
Yay!
I'll have it waiting for her when she wakes up.
So then you have kind of like a nice, cylinder shape, which you could actually also serve. But I think it's fun to cut it. You get little pinwheels. So I usually cut out the crust.
So you actually have like little sushi rolls.
Yes, they're like little sushi rolls, exactly. And you can see, you get a little bit of like the pink color in there from the strawberries. So if you don't eat peanut butter in your family, or someone doesn't eat peanut butter in their family, you could use almond butter for sure. Or you could even use a non-nut butter, like a sunflower seed butter or something like that. So one of my biggest healthy snack tips, and this goes especially for when you're pregnant or postpartum, is to think about your snack as more than one food group. So, you want to get like 2 food groups in there, whether it's a fruit and then protein. So by kind of putting 2 things together, nuts and some raisins or something like that, that helps you be more satisfied. You stay full longer, you get more nutrients, and that really makes your snacks kind of work harder for you. It's so important to eat, as healthfully as you can while you're pregnant. Of course you want to enjoy what you're eating, and of course you want to do what's right for your baby, but you also, want to have energy for yourself. And it's just really a great way to like take care of yourself as much as possible.
Yes, I feel like the best way to take care of your baby is to take care of yourself. And if I have more energy, the baby's doing better. It's a circle.
Shawn, thank you so much for making these snacks with me today. It was really fun, and I hope that you and your daughter enjoy them. And I hope for everyone else watching that you enjoy them too. They're great for all ages, and it's great to have healthy snacks for both kids and adults.
So thank you, Jenna. That was amazing. And I can't wait to learn more recipes from you, because these really make mom's life so much easier. For anybody watching though, if you want more information on everything that we kind of talked about today, related to pregnancy, postpartum, even food for your toddlers, go to itstartswithmom.org.
My name is Melissa Gonzalez, and I'm the Executive Vice President of the Americas for Medela. At Medela, we exist to advance health and well-being through innovative breast milk feeding solutions, and so we empower moms with everything from breast pumps to all the supplies she needs to really complement her journey. Unlike many organizations, we are 56% women, and so there's such a correlation between what we do and what we believe in our culture at Medela. One of the ways that Medela is supporting mothers in the workplace and setting the example is New Moms Healthy Returns. And that program provides a single source turnkey approach for employers to provide what moms need to come back to the workplace and successfully feel like they can meet both their professional and personal goals. We all know supporting females in breastfeeding as they come back to work is important, and I think we all have a role to play. I'm not going to be happy until we use this movement to create change, and we create change for working moms that empowers them and helps them not to have to choose. Be confident, stand up, you are empowered, you are important, and you are making a difference every day.
Hi, everyone. Wow, what a show so far. I'm Grace Bastidas, Editor-in-Chief of Parents Latina and host of the podcast, That New Mom Life. I'm here today with an inspiring group of women to talk about the importance of community support for moms and moms-to-be to help them remain resilient as they navigate their motherhood journey and a new normal. On today's panel, we have entrepreneur, author, and former Olympic gymnast, Shawn Johnson East, President and CEO of March of Dimes, Stacy Stewart, and Executive Director of the Maternal Mental Health Leadership Alliance, Adrienne Griffin. Shawn, Stacy, Adrienne, thanks so much for joining us today. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about yourselves, starting with Shawn?
Hi, I'm Shawn. So excited to be here. Former Olympic gymnast a long time ago, now a mom to a crazy toddler, and I have another one on the way in 2 months. So losing my mind a little bit, but loving it. So thanks for having me.
It's great to be with all of y'all. Thanks, Grace. And my name is Stacy Stewart. I'm President and CEO of March of Dimes, and I'm leading the leading organization fighting for the health of all moms and babies. So excited about this conversation today, and so happy to be with all of you all, and would love after the conversation for you all to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. You can find me at March of Dimes CEO. Thanks a lot, Thanks a lot.
And Adrian.
Hi, Grace. Thanks so much for welcoming us, and it's so great to be part of this panel today. My name is Adrian Griffin. I am a proud mom of two college students, one who's getting set to graduate next week, and a high schooler. And I lead the Maternal Mental Health Leadership Alliance, where we are focused on policy around maternal mental health, so postpartum depression and related issues. And you can follow us on all social media platforms at MMHLA2. The number 2. So thanks. Looking forward to a great conversation today.
All right, well, let's get started. So this past year has been one of the most difficult for everyone, especially mothers. What are some of the challenges you faced and the steps that you've taken to become more resilient in the face of diversity? Let's start with Shawn.
I think this past year has been really hard for everyone just because it's not something we could have ever foreseen or something we could have prepared for. And I think the hardest part as a mom has been learning how to navigate work life and mom life and social life and life with your spouse and just kind of living at home and doing that all under the same roof and still being a good mom. It's hard to find time for yourself and to kind of sort through the chaos of the world filled with all the negative news. And I think for me, being a new mom with a toddler, trying to stay optimistic and positive and protect her and protect my family and still do it all under the same roof has been hard. But I've had a lot of help from my husband and my family, and we've just kind of worked on the optimism, I guess, every day.
That's so important. I love that you included a social life in there. I'm like, what's social life?
Yeah.
What about you, Stacy?
Yeah, this has been, I certainly agree with Shawn. This has been a challenging year, just balancing so much as a mom and, trying to deal with, everyone's mental health, including my own, while also working, with kids that are in school. How do you also balance all of that and making sure that they're, okay? This is it's been an extraordinary year. And I feel like it's been the hardest on moms and women. I mean, with all due respect to everyone else. And you see that in some of the statistics around women that have had to stop working because of either economic downturn or just trying to, not knowing how to balance everything and sort of prioritizing family over everything, which is certainly the right thing to do. But it's just been tough. And as we look to the end of the pandemic, I'm really hoping that at some point, I'm hoping that we can get to a better life and a better way of sort of balancing and keeping all these things together, especially for women, for our physical health and our mental health as well.
I second that. Let's make life better for ourselves as mamas. What about you, Adrian?
Like the others said, this has been a year that none of us could have anticipated or predicted, and that moms really have borne the load, the mother load, as we call it. And I'll just give you an example. Yesterday, I was on a conference call, and one of the moms was like, I have to get off the phone just for a minute. There's something crazy going on outside. And she came back on, and we're like, well, what was happening? And she couldn't even say it. She had to text it. Her children were jousting with the porch umbrella. And she said, she looked outside and they were running at each other. So like the crazy things we could never even have anticipated. So, for me, the challenges and facing our resiliency is I've really had to learn how to compartmentalize, right? As Shawn said, we're all living and working from home and our children are there. And so I really, I go to work for a certain time, I exercise for a certain time, at the end of the day at 5 o'clock, I go out and I walk the dog and I make that transition to evening time. Weekends, I try not to work. It's really, I've really, really tried to compartmentalize those different aspects of my life so that I don't feel like I'm juggling all the balls at once. I can keep 1 or 2 up in the air, but I certainly can't keep 6 or 7.
So routine has helped you control the chaos a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
This question is for Stacy and then Adrian. What are some of the common challenges moms across the country are facing that can impact their resiliency, and what resources are available to them?
With everything going on, I think the thing that's most impacted that really affects our resiliency, our ability to really bounce back and sort of, when we get knocked off a little bit, you always think, oh, I'll wake up tomorrow and things will be better. But that tomorrow is the same as yesterday. It's always like the next day is the same as the day before, because it's like a never ending set of issues. And so that's why we've seen, especially with moms, maternal mental health issues have just skyrocketed. The number of women and moms who have been saying, I am just really struggling. We just partnered with Meredith on all of this, and this consumer pulse survey they did really showed a couple of interesting things that, where it said 88% of the survey of moms saying that they were actively trying to work on their mental and emotional health. That was really up over the last several months. 65% of moms saying they're worried about becoming more anxious and more depressed because of the pandemic. These are really serious issues. And we tend not to talk about these mental health issues because I think we still, unfortunately, stigmatize these issues with everybody. And moms, we always think we've got to hold it all together. We got to keep it together. And we don't have places we can go when we feel like I can't keep it together, or maybe like some of us do, like I do, go in the bathroom and cry, close the door, and just try to get away from everybody and let it all loose so you can actually emerge to the rest of the world, with kind of a straight face. But it's tough, and it shouldn't have to be that way. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do at the March Times is really use this platform and use others to really help women, to let moms know where you can go for help. That's what this whole It Starts With Mom is really all about. It's intended to be a resource at itstartswithmom.org, a resource where moms and moms to be can go when they're finding they're having these challenges. They don't have to feel alone, that they can reach out and ask for help. And knowing that mental and emotional well-being is really important, and that all of us are struggling with it. Someone like me, Shawn, anybody from any walk of life, we all are facing some of the same challenges. It's okay. Part of it is just giving ourselves a break to say, if I'm struggling, I don't have to do it alone. I can reach out for help. And that is, I think, the most important thing. I love, Adrienne, what you just said about just compartmentalizing. And I'm going to start doing that at 5 o'clock. I'm going to shut down the computer and just go for my walk every day, because if not, things bleed into the night and all of a sudden I'm working like 24 hours, and that just isn't healthy. So, I'm hoping that by recognizing these challenges and then asking and pointing moms to be in the right direction, we can get them the help that they need, just like all of us need help at some point, and have needed this help through this pandemic for sure.
I'm going to email you at 5:01. You better not reply.
I know. I won't. I'm not going to reply. Out of office. I'm going to do out of office.
But that's so key, speaking up and asking for help, because we all feel the same way. So, just that shows strength, that vulnerability. Adrienne, what do you have to say about this?
Yes, so I love the title that we're even talking about. It Starts With Mom, because it's so true. The mom is really the heart and soul of the family. And if the mom isn't doing well, then nobody's doing well. And, I've even seen that recently. I'm dealing with some stressors with one of my children. And when I get stressed, like the whole family, the dog runs and hides, like the whole family scatters, right? So, it's really, really important that moms are taking care of themselves. And as Stacy mentioned, I work a lot with women, moms to be and new moms who are experiencing anxiety and depression related to pregnancy. And we know that anxiety and depression are the most common complications of pregnancy and childbirth. And we have seen studies that have shown that moms are reporting a 3-fold increase in symptoms of anxiety and depression since the pandemic started. As you might imagine, if you're pregnant, like Shawn is, the concerns about what would happen if you got COVID. And initially there were, stories about moms not having a support person with them in the hospital, and just all of these concerns. What happens if I test positive or my baby tests positive for COVID? So initially there was, all this angst, and that sort of has gotten itself all sort of worked out. But then in the postpartum timeframe, I remember when I had little kids, and it was easy. We went out next door. My next door neighbor was home with kids, or we went to the park, or I met my sister who lived, a half hour away, and we got together. And moms can't do that during COVID, right? So they've been further isolated, which can increase that sense of depression. So, I think new moms and moms to be have really had an enormous struggle during the last year. So, all of us have, but they have in particular. And I know we're going to talk about some resources later, but I just really want to flag that, how much moms have really had put upon them this year. So again, really so glad that March of Dimes is taking this issue on.
Yeah, new motherhood is already feels isolating as it is through a pandemic, and oh my goodness, my heart goes out to any new mom during this time.
Yeah.
Shawn, as a former Olympic gymnast, what has the experience as an athlete in high pressure situations taught you about resilience?
A lot of things, but I feel like motherhood teaches you the most. That's for sure. It should be switched. I should have done the mothering before the Olympics. But within my training, I think everything that I keep going back to, especially in a time like this, is my coach used to teach so much about failure, and that it's an amazing thing because it's at your lowest points within your career, within your training, within making mistakes or going through injuries or going through roadblocks, that you become a stronger competitor. And I think within my gymnastics kind of career, learning how to patiently wait out those moments and those times has helped with mothering, because patience is, I feel like, the name of the game. And I feel like as a mom, you struggle so much with this fear of failure, that you're going to fail your children and you're going to make the wrong decision, especially in a pandemic. There's so many decisions you're having to make on their behalf. And I think with my gymnastics career, the resiliency side is just has kind of transitioned itself and transformed itself into patiently waiting out the storm and day by day taking one kind of decision at a time, and knowing that even if we fall flat on our face, we have tomorrow to start over and to kind of learn from all of this as we go.
Tomorrow's a new day. I say that to myself every single day. We get to redo this. So Stacy, as we think about building resiliency, how important is it for moms to reach out to their communities, and moms to be as well, to have a community and be able to reach out to them for support?
I don't even know how any of us make it through life without other people. It just really is impossible. And even though, a lot of us want to believe, like I do, that I'm a superwoman, I can get it done, I'm independent. The reality is I don't do this by myself. I don't do my job by myself. I don't do my house by myself, my kids by myself. And even those of us that may not have the luxury of having all that support, we just have to recognize and know that when we don't have someone within our reach to reach out to, we have to sort of find those networks and create those networks. And that's what we've done at the March of Dimes, is sort of try to create those communities that people can easily tap into. We have Facebook groups at March of Dimes where you can go and share your experiences, share what you're going through, know that you're not alone. We have parents who've had situations where they've lost children, babies that are born prematurely, who share their stories willingly. And they do it because when they share, they get back so much love and so much support, and people saying, "Oh my gosh, this happened to me too. I know what you're doing. I know what you feel. I know what you feel like. I know what you're going through." And that's so important. We have other kinds of platforms. Share Your Story is another one. It's a wonderful place that, families who've gone through miscarriage or loss, or new moms, or moms that are struggling, can go and tell their stories there too. Other platforms, hashtag Unspoken Stories, we launched a couple of years ago, again, to make sure that that moms aren't feeling alone and feeling isolated. I know when my kids are now older, and teenagers, I can remember, and it wasn't during a pandemic, and my kids, I had a normal childbirth and my kids were healthy when they were born. I can remember being on maternity leave feeling like completely alone at home. And I can't imagine going through something like that in the midst of a pandemic, or if I didn't have a childbirth that went as planned. I mean, it would just be extraordinarily difficult. And so, I think this is a moment to realize that even if whatever you're going through, that you don't have to be alone, that you can reach out. That March of Dimes is really there to help. It Starts with Mom is really all about that. And we've got tons of resources that can help. And there are other organizations too that are doing amazing work to really provide the support mechanisms that moms and moms to be and new moms really need.
Adrian, how else can we encourage moms to reach out to their communities and lean on them for support?
Yep. So I'm going to pick up where Stacy left off about a great organization that provides a sense of community and support to new moms who might be experiencing postpartum depression or anxiety or other issues. It's called Postpartum Support International. And they have online support groups. They have state volunteers in all 50 states. That's how I got started in this field. After I had postpartum depression, I was one of the people who responded to phone calls from my home state of Virginia. And, have just been these moms who are the phone volunteers, the peer supporters. They've all been through loneliness, anxiety, depression, and they will not stop until they get those new moms connected with some community, some resources in their community, a support group, whatever it might be. And I think about even during this pandemic, how important my little communities were for me. So for example, I have a little Facebook chat with my sisters and my sister-in-law and my mother, and we text all the time. I'm not a Facebook, a little, text chat group. And like we've been sending Monday memory pictures. So like yesterday I sent them pictures of my senior prom, and it's just been a fun way to sort of connected. I also have a little group of women that I exercise with. There's 4 or 5 of us, and we've met every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. One of the women has a sport court in her backyard, so we social distance. And it has provided, such structure and such a sense of community. I get to see these people and talk to them, get out of my house, get some exercise. We decided that we would take August off because August in DC is super hot. After 1 week, you're all like, can we come back to class? Like it really helped all of us so much during this pandemic to have each other, to talk about, okay, what are you going to do today? Well, I got a new book from the library. So it was super helpful. And then finally, my last little support group was on my neighborhood, on our street. Every Friday night, we would get together for socially distanced happy hour. People would bring, their beer or their glass of wine or their glass of iced tea or whatever. And we would all just sort of hang out and, again, socially distanced. But like we had these different little communities, and it really, really got me through the pandemic. I don't think if I had had sort of that kind of social support that I would have been able to navigate as well as I did.
I have a few different communities as well, and that sense of connection, even if it's just virtual, is so important. But I think I'm going to take away this Memory Monday and start digging through the archives to find some old photos. I love that.
Yeah, the big 1980s hair. Yeah.
Shawn, with your second child on the way, congratulations, by the way. Can't be easy navigating pregnancy during this pandemic. How have you managed your pregnancy this time around? And who has been a big source of support for you?
It was definitely exciting, but terrifying at the same time because there's so many unknowns this past year with pregnancy and COVID and just everything. We weren't really sure how we were going to navigate it, but I think building off of the community that you guys were talking about, whether virtual or in person, we've really built a strong community around us, whether it's with our pediatrician and my OBGYN and just kind of resources and other friends who are pregnant right now or who have had babies within the pandemic. We've really just kind of surrounded ourselves with people who could reassure us on a daily basis of our concerns and our worries. And if we have silly questions about whatever it might be that comes up within a pregnancy, we just kind of have that circle that I talk to on a daily basis to try to keep my mind in a good place and, my body pretty healthy and baby doing well.
I don't think there are any silly questions.
No, not at all.
And okay, so this one goes out to all our panelists. The pandemic has blurred the boundaries between work and home. I think we're all at home right now, right? And online all the time. How do we establish work and home boundary lines? Let's start with you, Adrian.
Right. So I talked a little bit before about my compartmentalizing, right? So, on the days that my daughter goes to school, so I take her to school, I exercise, and then, I walk the dog, do whatever I need. And I really, set at my desk for, a certain amount of time, get my lunch, get back to the desk, and really literally, 5 o'clock, I walk the dog, we get out, we see people in the neighborhood, we get some more exercise, and I really transition to sort of that evening family routine. And, I'd say like 3 months into the pandemic, my husband and I both noticed, he's working from home as well, that like we were getting more and more Zoom meetings that were creeping into the dinner time hour. And so, wait a second, this has got to stop. Like just because we can Zoom 24/7 doesn't mean we should Zoom 24/7. And we really kind of put the brakes back on that and really try to, have our work day come to an end. So I'm interested to hear how others sort of manage this home and work boundary.
Stacy, how did you manage?
Yeah, I think it's really funny because, like I said, I think I just got a really helpful hint about making sure to put real guardrails on it, because I definitely have that situation where things bleed past 5 o'clock. They go into 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I've had people telling me, "Can you get on a Zoom at 9 o'clock at night?" I mean, it's been crazy, and I think there are times when I've just had to say no, like I can't do that. And then I think this other thing that we've done with March for Babies, which is going on right now, it's been so incredibly helpful last year at this time and also now, because we have a step up challenge. So we kind of challenge each other to do steps, go outside and do steps and raise money for March of Dimes. So I use that excuse to make sure that I stay on point with my walking every day. But I wanted to do that anyway, because just getting outside, just breathing fresh air is so helpful, just being outside. And, I used to think that I would love not having to commute and be in my car. Now, today, it's kind of a treat to get in my car and go to the grocery store. So sometimes just running errands can just be a break from the monotony of the online work day that we all have to deal with right now. But, I do think exercise, I've been trying to be very careful about eating the right things and doing well with my eating. I think the one thing I've done is I've gotten vaccinated, because I want to get back to normal. I want to be able to go out in the world. I want to be able to do the things I used to do. And if I didn't do that, I wouldn't feel nearly as comfortable. And even, I think about pregnant women today, like Shawn, like you, like the fact that there was so much anxiety about, should I take the vaccine? I'm pregnant. Is that okay? And now we know that it really is a good idea if you're pregnant to get the vaccine, because it actually protects you and your baby. Even though that's a very stressful decision, I totally understand it, but just, there is a pathway for us to get back to normal, and getting back to normal is doing what science tells us is the right, healthy thing to do. And of course, at the March Times, we believe in vaccines. So I just had to say that has been the one thing that I think when I got my vaccine, I literally cried. I was so relieved and so happy that I could maybe get back to, the life that I once had. So, hopefully that helps someone and helps any of you all that are thinking about these things, that, how you get through this and make it to a better day for sure.
I'm with you, Stacy. Let's all get vaccinated and let's all say no to 9 p.m. Zooms for sure.
Absolutely.
Shawn, how do you draw those boundary lines? And why do you think it's so important, especially as a mom to be? As you're a second mom, a second time mom to be.
I think for me, adding to everything that Adrienne and Stacy said, I feel like we're doing all of those already, and we've implemented them within the pandemic. But we also decided on this like rule within our house that we have like an upstairs and a downstairs, and upstairs is work and downstairs is home. So none of that can ever be blurred. And I think that's been good for our daughter as well, for having a toddler running around your house. It's really hard for her to understand, oh, mommy's on a phone call right now. I can't talk to you and I can't play with you or interact. So having that boundary of when mommy and daddy come downstairs, we get to be mommy and daddy. And then when we go upstairs, you're going to stay down here with grandma and kind of have that world. I think that has given me as a mom a lot of just clarity and relief in being able to explain that to my toddler. I think it's really hard for me to blur those lines, because when I'm mom, I want to be all in and I want to be, hands-on and the best mom I can be. And when I'm at work, I don't want to have to be worrying about being a mom. And I think having that boundary for us has been really, really good.
Yeah, for me, I just transitioned into my pajamas. I'm like, all right, well, taking off my my athleisure and now in my PJs, so no more work. So finally, ladies, how will you carry forward all that you've learned about resiliency and leaning on your community for support going forward? Stacy?
Yeah, I think I just want to, remind myself that, there are tough times that are going to come. This is probably one of the toughest times that any of us have ever experienced. Going through a global pandemic isn't something that happens every single day, and I think all of us, have learned something new about ourselves, about our communities, about what we need during certain times. I'm just going to take that moment to remember to give myself a little bit of grace when I'm not feeling great, to give myself a little bit of room to not be on my best every single day and realize that that's okay. And just remind myself that, there's some things in life that are far more important than work, that family is really most critical. My health is the most important thing. And doing what I can to make sure that those things are always in place, the happiness of my family, my own health. I think nothing is going to replace that as I move forward after what we've experienced over the last year and a half or so.
Health and family, yes, very, very important. Adrian, how will you carry forward this resiliency?
I think that we all are so much more resilient than we would have thought a year ago, right? That we could have gotten through all of this, that we figured out all of these different things, how we're going to manage working and Zooming from home and kids home from school and just all of the chaos of this year. And we've all kind of figured it out. We've all muddled through. And sometimes, I think of a favorite saying from Winston Churchill: when you're going through hell, just keep going. And that is sort of like what we've had to do, just keep putting one foot in front of the other this year in this era of uncertainty and social isolation and all of that. And so, I think that's just something really important to remember, that we are more resilient than we thought that we are. I also think that all of this has taught us all to be a little bit more relaxed, right? Things that we thought could never, ever change have changed. And I think about, like sports leagues being canceled, and things that were like written in stone, we will never ever do anything differently, has all gone out the window. And that we're more relaxed on our Zoom calls, like the child jousting outside with the umbrella, or the cat that walks across your screen in the middle of the one of your Zoom calls. So we've become a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more forgiving, I think, of a lot of these social norms that were propped up and held us up for so long. So again, just, I think we are much more resilient and a little bit more relaxed than we thought we were a year ago.
And it's sort of been this opportunity to really think about the lives that we want to live after going through all this. So completely agree with you. What about you, Shawn? How are you keeping that resiliency going?
I think for me this past year, I realized that before this past year, I kind of was in the mindset of I'm just going to figure everything out on my own. And it's kind of like to each their own, everyone's living their own life. And I felt like during this past year, I became so much closer with a lot of people because I felt so vulnerable and needed help and needed to ask questions and needed to reach out. And I think carrying forward will just mean that I'll ask for a lot more help, like moving forward and going into the next year is coming in, just because I feel like it wasn't until that our communities were kind of taken away from us that we realized we really needed to lean on a lot of people that are really close to us to get through it. And I think for me, it's just kind of having that help in that community around.
Oh my goodness, yes, our communities are so important. Even that like little exchange with a stranger sometimes can like boost your mood, and just our family and friends. So thank you. Thank you for saying that. What an amazing conversation. We've heard some great insights from our panelists today about the importance of moms and moms to be tapping into their communities for support and strength. And if you're part of a mom's community, remember to do what you can to help that mom in your life be resilient as she navigates tough challenges. As moms, we strive to be strong, but we have to remember that we're not in this journey alone. Being strong and resilient also means reaching out for help when we need it and being kinder to ourselves each and every day. Thank you to our panelists and all the viewers today for joining us. Stay tuned to hear more wise words from Stacy Stewart.
Hi, I'm Dr. Fiona Clancy with Clear Blue, a pioneer in providing women with innovative products to better understand and manage their reproductive journey. For over 35 years, Clear Blue has helped millions of women across the globe by delivering accurate and clear answers at life-changing moments. In addition to taking folate each day, our top resiliency tips for women trying to conceive are to practice self-care. This could be as simple as eating nutritious foods, drinking plenty of water, moving around and getting enough sleep, and also creating a bubble of support with your partner, family, or trusted friends. Visit clearblue.com/conceivinghood to find additional resources for your pre-pregnancy journey.
Hi, I'm Libby Horn with EMD Serono, a leader in the fertility space for more than 20 years. We offer therapies, technologies, and support services to help couples throughout their fertility treatment journey. We were there for the first IVF baby and more than 3 million since then. We know fertility issues can take a toll on families physically, financially, and emotionally. One of our top resiliency tips for women on their fertility journey is to prioritize your well-being by creating a support plan, tapping available resources, and engaging your support community. You are not alone. Visit fertility.com to read other stories and to find helpful resources.
Hi, my name's Amanda, and I'm the Senior Brand Communications Manager for Nook. While Nook is a leader in baby care, over the last year, we've committed to being more than that for parents. Not only do we want to provide parents with the products they need, we want to provide them with a support system. We want to provide them with peace of mind parenting. Our top tip for sleep resiliency in the 4th trimester is mindfully working on being flexible. Flexibility is an essential trait to enhancing your inherent resiliency because it means that even when your expectations aren't met, you'll have the tools to adapt to any situation. Visit nook-usa.com for more on resiliency and additional resources.
Thank you to all of the women who've shared your honest stories and your experiences. You all have inspired me, and I hope they've inspired you as well. You know, the reality is motherhood is hard. It's hard before the pandemic, and it's even harder now in the midst of this pandemic. And that's for all this, from all the stages of conception through pregnancy and having the child. You know, this year has brought some extraordinary and unexpected challenges to motherhood. And through it all, moms have really carried forward. You've never given up. And the most important thing to know is that you're not alone. Our communities have become increasingly important to us in the past year at the March of Dimes. From our family and friends who are always with us every single day and who provide us the love and support that we need, to all the caregivers who are with us and giving us that extra support that we need, working through all of these new restrictions, you know, to those of us who support us as well through all of these aspects of parenting and work, all of the day-to-day challenges that we face. Mothers, if there's one thing that we know, need our support, and they need support systems to help them. Together, we are more resilient. Together, we can support moms better than we can when we're apart. And so that's why at the March Dimes, we are here for you at every stage of your pregnancy journey, before you're pregnant, through conception, during pregnancy, and the time of childbirth. The March Dimes tries to be there for every mother and really empower moms to make sure that you can give your baby the best possible start in life. You can find out more about ways in which to focus on your health and wellness and ways to tap into that very supportive community that we're building today and every day at the March of Dimes. Just go and visit. It starts with mom.org. And there are also additional ways you can support moms as well. This is a great season of the March of Dimes. We have March for Babies going on right now. And if you want to be involved in coming together as a community to support moms, just go and visit marchforbabies.org and get involved. We want to encourage everybody to be a part of March for Babies as well. Thank you all so much for being a part of It Starts With Mom Live. We're so grateful that you joined us today. We hope that you're willing to put forth that extra effort to give every single mom in your life the support that she needs, especially now that it's around Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the moms, and thank you for joining us.